Hey, what's up? This is Chris number 2 from the band Anti-Flag, and you are watching The Pit.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Don here with The Pit, Sports and Entertainment. Joining me today is Chris from Anti-Flag. How you doing, buddy?
Very well. We're in Columbus, Ohio, at some stadium that I don't know what they play here.
Soccer.
Soccer. Okay, cool. Sounds great. I didn't know that, but now I do. I'm becoming educated by the moment.
So welcome. We're here for the 10th Annual Rock on the Range Festival. How's it feel being here for the 10th Annual Rock on the Range Festival? That's a huge thing to be a part of. How's that feel?
Well, we're in a fortunate situation where we get to play festivals around the world. We've been a band for a really long time, and for some strange reason, people keep giving us these opportunities. That said, there are a few that I get to drive to myself, and being from Pittsburgh, I got to drive my own car here today, so it's an honor to be here. It's a little different than the normal festival, but yeah, so drive myself, got to park right behind the stage. We're going to play, I'll get back in my car, and I'll go home. It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah, I didn't have to drive myself. I'm about 3.5 hours north of here.
Okay.
Buddy drove, so he's been pretty much a designated DD for the weekend so far.
Poor kid.
So you guys, like you said, you've been around a while, a long time. Not to make you guys sound like really old or anything, but it has been a long time.
20+ years, yeah.
Do you compared to when you guys started? How big to you is? Let me backtrack.
Yeah.
When you guys first started in the music scene, that big punk rock era and all that stuff, how do you compare it back then to how it is now with the new music that you guys have been writing?
Yeah. Well, I think that obviously technology changed a lot about music across the board. So the way records are made, the way they're distributed, the way people find out about them, all of that is completely new from where it was when we began as a band. What's interesting is that there's a resurgence of vinyl. There's a resurgence of handmade or limited edition versions of record, which is what we were doing when we were just kids in basements who were just putting together our own pieces of art and trying to disseminate them to as many people as possible. So to see it come full circle is a really interesting phenomenon. That said, a lot of the agendas and the messages of the band are very lock and step the way they were at the beginning. We come from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. When the band started, Pittsburgh had the highest police brutality rate in the country. So we were writing a lot about that. We had a song called Fuck Police Brutality. And in 2016, when you're seeing a police murder around America almost every day, that song is very appropriate for right now. So there are frustrating parallels to be drawn with the beginning of the band and where we are. But I also believe that punk rock as a culture has always been ahead of the curve, whether it's on stances like police violence or racism or sexism or homophobia. It's been a place where the mainstream culture may not be so accepting of these ideals or these efforts, but in our small community, there's people that are wanting to push ourselves to be better, push ourselves to care about more than just ourselves. That's the music scene and community that we've always been a part of, and we're proud to be a part of.
Good. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I love about you guys, the entire band. You basically give no fucks, and I love it. You write about, like you said, police brutality. You write about politics. You write about, things that you're just completely against, and you don't give a shit about it. You're just going to keep writing because that's the stuff you want to write about.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Well, that's the kind of music we grew up on, The Clash, the Dead Kennedys. That's the music that resonated with me as a kid and made me smash my MC Hammer cassette tape.
Yeah, Dead Kennedys are going on tour this year, and I've never seen them.
Yeah.
And I plan on being at the show back in Detroit. I'm stoked to see that.
We're doing a tour with them and the Offspring in South America, so...
Bring that to America, please. Yeah. Holy hell, that would be sick.
It's crazy. We've never played with either of the bands, so it's going to be really interesting. Yeah, for sure.
The only time I've ever seen the Offspring was my very first Warped Tour.
Oh, cool.
Years ago. It was like 10... my first Warped Tour was like 12 years ago or something. I was still in high school.
Okay, cool.
So it's been a while since I've seen them.
That's great.
So you guys had a new record come out sometime last year. I apologize, I forgot what month it was.
I think it's just about to hit 1 year old. It was in May, and the record's called American Spring.
Talk to us about the new album, or I can't even say new because, like you said, almost a year ago. What was it like recording this new record compared to previous ones, over, say, the last 10 years?
Yeah. Well, we are in this really interesting cycle where we just came from a major label in the early 2000s. And then we went to putting records out back with our friends, a label called Side One Dummy in Los Angeles. We recorded those 2 records by ourselves in Pittsburgh, kind of as a knee-jerk reaction to the major label and using producers and doing like that kind of thing, And now with American Spring, we're kind of far enough removed from both experiences that we were able to cherry pick the good of both. So what we ended up doing was going into a house in LA with 2 friends of ours, Jim Kaufman and Kenny Carkeet. And Kenny plays in a band called AWOL Nation.
Love those guys.
Yeah, really great band. And he's a really smart and talented kid. But one of the things that we really wanted to do was work with someone younger than us, because every time we went in with a producer, it was like a quote-unquote legendary name. We worked with Tony Visconti, who was amazing, but having someone who is familiar with the band from when they were a kid, but also, again, younger than us so that they're aware of what's happening with the technology of recording and with the ability to move a lot quicker and a lot swifter in the studio. We just set up mics in a house and did it kind of DIY, kind of punk like the last 2 records, but also with a producer like the major record. So it was this interesting melange of experiences we've had throughout our band's life. And out we came with, I think, our best record in maybe 10 or 15 years.
Good, that's good to hear. Congratulations on that. So I like to stray away from just music talk. I kind of like to go out of the box a little bit. You guys, like we mentioned earlier on, kind of political, you got a lot of strong beliefs. I'm not very political, but this year's election race is kind of,
it's insane.
It's crazy. What are your thoughts on, how everything's being played out so far?
Well, because we have been politically active for 20 years as being a band, we've learned a valuable lesson that our history isn't made by presidents or prime ministers or CIA or popes or any of that. The history that I believe in is always made by the people. People's movements have been responsible for all of the things that we have and enjoy in life in 2016. People's movements created the 40-hour work week, created weekends. People's movements created the ability for gay marriage to happen, for desegregation to happen. These are all because of people banding together for what's best for humanity, not a pen signature by a president. So while I take a presidential race with a grain of salt, I think that Donald Trump is very scary. I think that the amount of energy that's being wasted on negativity is very scary to me. But I also know that we get the presidents we deserve as a people, and if he's elected, so be it. We have an army of songs for him. We have an army of songs for Hillary Clinton.
I can only imagine.
Army of songs for Bernie Sanders. There's a lot to work on regardless of who the head of state is. So it doesn't scare me in the respect that I'm worried, what are we going to do as a culture? We'll survive. And I would also say that there's probably a silver lining to a very dark Donald Trump cloud of being humanity will have to band together against atrocity. That's what kind of happens in situations like that. I think that in the face of the tragedies that I've seen in our lifetimes, whether it's 9/11 or whether it's mass school shootings, communities tend to band together in the face of that.
Yeah.
That's what I want to tap into. Why why does it take that to get us there? So those are the things that we write about. Those are the things we create art about and try to discuss, and that we'll discuss from stage today. And hopefully, like I said to your neighbors, if the guy who's eating nachos way in the back of the stadium hears our band and says like, oh, wow, I didn't recognize that there were 4 kids from Pittsburgh who grew up probably very similar to the way you did here in Columbus, that you can have this agenda, this message of caring about more than just yourself, and you can take it into everything you do. You can take it into rock and roll, you can take it into work at McDonald's. It doesn't matter. So I think that's what I tend to focus on far more than who a president is going to be or who any career politician is going to be.
So are you guys big into sports at all?
I'm tremendously connected to ice hockey.
Good. I was honestly hoping you would say that.
Yeah.
That's my forte.
Good. Yeah, it's wrong, and I hate how much it manipulates my day and life. But whether or not the Pittsburgh Penguins perform well can determine whether or not I have a good or bad day, and that's it's a lot of power they hold over me. Yeah, for sure.
I kind of feel like he wants to punch me right now once I tell him this, but I'm from Michigan, so I'm a huge Red Wings fan.
Of course. No, that's okay. It's okay. You know what? I love the game, and Sergei Fedorov was my favorite player when I was a kid. So I have a strong connection to the Detroit Red Wings. And yeah, I mean, I play ice hockey almost daily, and I'm in a lot of leagues in Pittsburgh, and I travel with my gear when we're on tour, so awesome. I play around the country and around the globe. And yeah, again, I'm just a lover of the game, but I was born in '81, and Mario Lemieux came to town in 1984, and then they put a stick in my hand, and that's the rest is history. So
I wish I could join you in ice hockey, but I'm too fat and lazy. And I'm also, I was in the military too, and I got pretty beat up from that, so I really wish I could.
Well, we can go find a place we can play ball hockey here.
I did that younger too. Okay. So, do you think that Pittsburgh will make it to the finals or no?
Well, I think I'm not looking past Game 5 tonight. I mean, Tampa Bay is a tremendous team. I'm very scared at their speed and their transition and their 6'7" defensemen. So I'm worried. But at the same time, I feel like this team is built to win long term, and far greater than any of the last 2 that have been eliminated from playoff contention pretty early on. So I feel much better about 2015-16 than I did about 14-15 or even like the 2009-10 team, which was right after the Cup team that everyone had high hopes for. I really like this team a lot better than any of those. That being said, whoever it is in the West is going to be really tough too. I mean, St. Louis and San Jose are beating the hell out of each other over there, and they're really good teams. So I just want every series to go 7 games. I want hockey well into June, and then
Don't ever want it to stop.
Exactly, yeah. And I'm excited for the Worlds this like early fall and summer too. Like that's going to be really awesome too.
So I'm going to let this guy go. Get back to his busy schedule. Make sure you check out Andy Flagg. This guy was an absolute pleasure to have. One of the most down-to-earth dudes ever. So make sure you check out Andy Flagg. This has been Down with the Pit.